Okay, so thank you very much for coming to this talk, and I'm very honored to present my today's content about multi-word units profiler. So this tool the tool I'll talk about today is still evolving and under development. So I greatly appreciate your clarification, comments, and feedback, or even feature requests. And I hope you enjoyed the talk. So before diving into the content, please let me just introduce myself. I am Masaki Eguchi, a PhD candidate at Linguistic Department, University of Oregon. I am interested in the development of productive skills in second language, particularly focusing on lexical-grammatical aspects. I draw on both cognitive and functional views on these areas, and I'm also a member of Learner Corpus Research and Applied Data Science Lab, directed by Dr. Christopher Kyle at the moment. Right, so here is today's content, and my goal of this talk is to showcase what multi-word unit profiler is, how to use it, and what linguistic analysis are done behind this tool. Along the way, I would also like to talk about why this tool features multi-word units by mentioning some of the instructive second language acquisition studies. And at the end of the talk, I will also discuss some of the future plans and development ideas, how we can use free tools such as this to facilitate research in pedagogy communication. So what we're going to talk about today is the computer-assisted lexical analysis tool. These have been very has provided important information in second language research and pedagogy. Many software has been developed, such as range, vocab profiler, and word profiler, and new word level checker. They can be used for different purposes, such as to know how many words learner need to know to comprehend the text. For example, like 95% coverage of the text. Also identifying some of the difficult words student might encounter in reading or comprehending the text. And also how many times a particular word occur within the text, so that we can kind of guess how likely the potentials for incidental learnings. More recently, research highlights the importance of multi-word units, but the fewer tools are available for this kind of linguistic units. Before talking about this particular gap, let me define what multi-word units are in this talk. This is a very tricky concept. Other people's are defined very slightly different, but I will use multi-word units descriptively to refer to semi-fixed recurring phrases. So it includes collocations such as strong T, multi-word verbs such as put up with, lexical bundles in the middle, among others. So current focus today's talk is collocation, multi-word verbs, and lexical bundle, because these are the coverage of the current version of the tool. Why multi-word units? Because research shows that they are ubiquitous and prevalent in real-world language use. And from social perspective, the use of chunks serves an important means to become a member of the target community, or for socialization perspective. And from cognitive perspective, they are also important because it can provide processing shortcut, because arguably many of these chunks or multi-word units can be processed as a single unit. Empirical study actually are showing these, the knowledge of multi-word units are contributing to L2 skills such as reading, oral proficiency, and writing. However, research also suggests that learning multi-word units can be challenging for even highly advanced learners. So when compared with individual words, multi-word units can have less favorable condition for learning or acquisition. They occur less frequently than words in general, This is simply because the phrases or the combination of words are naturally less frequent than their component words. Learners may not notice the functional completeness or the usefulness of multi-word units, especially when they are taught to analyze language analytically through the analysis of grammar and vocabulary. So knowing chunks or the raising chunks help learn these units. Given the importance of these multi-word units, we or researcher might wonder whether there is any way we can support the learning of these items. So this is the background against which I started developing this tool, multi-word units profiler. This is an effort to develop computer-assisted learning tool. It allows you to enter your own text and identify and highlight empirically based multi-word units in your input text. I tried to make this tool as easy and straightforward as possible to use. The tool is designed on a single web page, which includes input settings section, annotated view, and table view. I'm not gonna go into detail right now because I have a quick demo video that I can show you. And I'm doing this because I don't wanna go into the internet right now because there might be some connection issues. So that said, I'd like to show you video, like a 5-minute long video that explains what this profiler is, and then how you can use this tool. Okay, I hope the video works. Great. There might be a lag of sounds or something like that, but I will put the link to this video after the presentation so you can also take a look at it later. Okay, so let me start this. Hello, in this video, I'd like to show you the main functionalities of multi-word units profiler. There are 3 main components in this tool. First, input and setting. Second, annotated text view. And last, table view. I'll talk about each in this order. First, when you open the profiler, you will see a text box. The first step is to paste your text to analyze into this text box like this. Today, I'm going to use a text from American National Corpus, which is a free corpus of American English. Second, select or deselect lists that you want to use for analysis. By default, all the lists available from this profiler are ticked for you. Then you can press Analyze button below. The analysis should be done in seconds. Once the analysis is done, you will see a section that explains what information has been made available. Annotated text view is for you to see your input text with highlights on research-based multiple units. The table view will present lists of the identified multiple units and their detailed information. Let's take a look at annotated text. You can either scroll down or press button here in the description to go to annotated text. I'm gonna press this button to go to annotated text now. As you can see, several expressions are highlighted and color-coded across the input text. These are frequent multi-word units in the research-based list you selected in the first step. There are 2 types of multi-word units. One is lexical collocations, such as major reasons, complex interactions, social interactions, immediately obvious, address issues, etc. Another type of multi-word units highlighted are n-grams or lexical bundles. These are adjacent chunks such as in fact, the fact that, come across, to be able to, etc. Annotated text can be used to draw learners' attention to important multi-word units in the English language. The final component of this tool is table view. You can further scroll down for these tables. Tables provide more in-depth information about each of the identified items. Due to the type of information each list provides, separate tables are presented for each of the lists. If you take a look at the table for phrasal expression list, you can see expression, occurrence in your text, frequency level of these items. Also, HTML links are embedded in the expressions column. So if you click this, it will take you another web-based corpus tool by Professor Tom Cobb, and you can study more contexts in which the expression is used in English language. Finally, I would like to show you the table view for lexical collocations. This table contains distinct information from others. We have expression and occurrence as we do in others, but we also have grammatical category, head, and depth. Grammatical category is a combination of part of speech of the collocations. For example, verb plus noun. Head can be thought of as the node word, and then depth can be considered as a collocate. If you click the HTML links on the expressions column, it will take you to the concordance software as we looked at before by Professor Tom Cobb. If you click on each component words, it will take you to another free web corpus tool called Scale. For example, I'll click Issue here. What this gives you is that it will give you a range of other possible collocates for the word as a node. This would let users to see what other collocations are frequently used or possible for the selected node word, in this case, issue. All right, that's it for demo. I hope you enjoy using multi-word units profiler. If you're using this tool for academic purposes, please use the citation at the bottom of the page. Thank you for watching and see you soon. All right, thank you for watching this one, and I'm not gonna play it again. Just let me go to next slides. All right, so thank you for watching. So here are 4 main characteristics summarized on the one slide. So the profiler can identify and highlight multi-word units using some empirically based multi-word unit lists, such as phrase list, academic forecast list, and academic collocations list. It can also provide, in table format, it can also provide item-specific information, and it can also have hyperlinks to other corpus-based resources to enhance the learning experience. So up to this point, I talked about the needs and the features of these multi-word units profiler. In this section, in the next section, I'd like to talk about why I think it is beneficial for learning by drawing on some research findings from the field. I'm going to mention 2 lines of research, and one concerns the instructed second language research, and the second one is based on the corpus finding about the multi-word units. So first line of research is on the pedagogical intervention on learning multi-word units. So in this strand, we have emerging evidence that intervention approach to draw learners' attention to multi-word units are beneficial. So for example, through classroom-based research, Boas et al. Demonstrated 8 months worth of teacher-led chunk discovery activity were associated with the increased oral proficiency measures at the end of the course, compared to the contrast group who were exposed to the same texts, but with a focus on individual vocabulary items and the grammar. So, so teacher-led chunk discovery activity kind of contributed to acquiring chunks, and then that facilitate the oral proficiency. More recently, Choi examined the effects of textual enhancement on the retention of multi-word units, and the results were generally positive in that the participant fixated on the target collocations more often and longer, and the enhanced group outperformed the retention, the measure at the post-test. Although these are like the more studies are necessary to gain more complete understanding of when to use kind of technique and then how we can further facilitate, these are early indication that enhancement works to draw learners' attention to important multi-word units. Another line of research is the corpus-driven multi-word unit lists. These are corpus-driven studies, and then they are providing, I try to identify pedagogically useful multi-word units. So they use both quantitative and qualitative criteria to finalize their list. For instance, the phrasal expression list by Martinez and Schmidt first created a frequency list of multi-word units using a bottom-up approach, the bottom-up corpus-based approach. Then they asked experts to judge whether the candidate expression merits further teaching. So using both quantitative and qualitative criteria, they identified the pedagogically useful expression to teach. So this is another line of research that supports the development of multi-word profiler. So far I talked about why this is, how research supports the development of multi-word units. And as this is the presentation of the methodology special interest group, in the next section, I would like to dive into a little deeper into what this tool is doing behind the scenes. My aims are twofold. First, I show the general pipelines or the natural language processing pipeline and which the version of the tool. And the second, I'd like to show you the methodological issues and some tentative solutions I come up with dealing with those issues. So the code for this profiler is written in Python, and it heavily draws on the Python package called spacy. Spacy is a modern natural language processing package that provides part of speech tagging and dependency parsing, which I'm going to talk about. I do not expect the audience to know natural language processing terminology and what they do. I'll give you some examples along the way. In the diagram on the right, you can see the pipeline that consists of main 4 stages. Given the input text, it first applied the natural language processing, such as tokenization, lemmatization, and parsing. And in the second stage, the items are, in third stage, items are matched against the empirically based multi-word units, and then return whether it's in the list or not. And then it will render into the HTML file so that visually for the aesthetic and visuals, and then that returns to the users. So let me talk about each. And the first one is tokenization and lemmatization. So this one is done by spacy, and the tokenization is a process of separating text into sentences and words. In the case of English, it's relatively straightforward because we have white spaces between words. But the spacy also does more advanced type of tokenization using some of the probabilistic analysis. but essentially separating into words. Lemmatization is the process of converting inflectional forms into a base form. For example, like a viewed, views, viewing in this example is converted into view, and viewer and viewers is converted into viewer. So it's a process of stripping inflectional morpheme, but retain the derivational morphemes. One issue, methodological issue in identifying multi-word units is that a multi-word unit can occur in various inflected forms. So I use lemmatization to deal with this issue. So because of this lemmatization, we can identify expressions such as obtained results, obtained results as the same lexical collocation. Once we have those lemmatization or the tokenized text, we can move on to candidate extraction. In this tool, we have two different kinds of item extraction pipeline. One is n-gram. N-gram can be defined as adjacent sequence of n words. For example, like a 2 adjacent sequence or a 4 word sequence or something like that. Using this example, we have expression. We can extract expressions such as English as we know, etc. And so at this stage, all the potential n-grams are extracted and retained for the next step, list matching. Another type of extraction is dependency. So dependency is a process of identifying two words in the direct syntactic relationships. So if you are interested in the verb and object combination, you can parse the sentence automatically using the spacy dependency parser, and then connect directly between made and observation. So by doing this, you can extract a make and observation as a direct relation, having direct relationship, and then retain for the next step. So this is the issue in collocation identification, because collocation can be dislocated at any at any intervening words. So what spacy or dependency parser allow us to do is to identify those like dislocated collocation without specifying any arbitrary window sizes. So once we extracted all the potential expressions, the next stage, we gonna match those expressions against the corpus-based multi-word unit list, as you can see here. So this is a simple match. So whether each expression extracted from the user input text are in the list or not. If they're in the list, it returns as a multi-word units and then stored it for later visualization. So I'm not going to talk about the visualization now, but these are a summary of methodological issues we have. So some spelling variants, British or American, this can be converted by the software background. Grammatical inflection, as I mentioned, the lemmatizer is used to deal with this kind of stuff. And dislocated collocations, as dependency parser is used to identify direct relationships. Syntax variants, this is something I need to work on. For example, like obtain the results can be extracted easily, but there are sometimes like the passive construction involved. So results are obtained. This needs to be added in the future version. The last one, a little tricky one, is sometimes multi-word units are type specific. So for example, like in relation to, but not in relations to, in which case we need to specify which multi-word unit should be the type specific one rather than different. So I need to specify these using some corpus analysis in the future. So let me briefly mention the outlook and then close this talk. So as I mentioned, the current version is not perfect. So I need to fine tune the natural language processing pipeline for better accuracy. One very important limitation to note is simple n-gram analysis may identify false positives. For example, the expression at all is in the expressions list. And if you have expressions such as at all times in your input text, it can just identify at all as one of the important lists. So this has to be disambiguated using additional syntactic informations, but I haven't done it or I haven't been able to implement that feature. And we also need to kind of empirically validate the current pipeline against how compare with the manually annotated multi-word unit. So yeah, these are some of the development plans, and I'd like to mention to close this talk. This is a final slide I have. I'd like to kind of provide a bigger picture on how this tool may be useful in facilitating research pedagogy interaction. So I believe that multi-word units profile can be used for different purposes. For example, like for learning and teaching, for material creation in instructive second language research, for actually implementing textual enhancement, and also like for quick demo for newly developed corpus-based multi-word unit lists. So I consider this tool to be able to kind of cut across different areas of second language research and pedagogy, including call. So maybe this kind of simple platform may be able to kind of promote the cyclical iterative activity between pedagogy and research and research and pedagogy, vice versa. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on this direction if you have any opinion on this issue. Before closing, I would like to say thank you for all coming to this talk, and then Methodology Especially Interest Group for having such a wonderful opportunity, and also for individuals who gave me very constructive feedback on this tool in the development of this tool. So thank you very much for your attention. Yeah, sorry, it was a little bit longer than 25 minutes, but thank you so much. And I welcome any comments and suggestions, future improvement. So yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you very much.